Hello Eternum and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news, and this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the forces of Nirvana successfully break into the vault and steal ownership of Windsward, and the Spice Lords of Spudbud get ransacked by the marauders of Dragoon Heathens, who now control the island's spice flow. KOTT news crews were on the scene in first light, but were denied an interview by company leadership. We were, however, able to get an unofficial reaction from one of their junior members. What are you the first thing you're going to do now that you're in control of First Light?
I don't know, man.
Later in the evening, KOTT News were able to recover from an injury sustained while covering the event live to secure an interview with the new bank manager of Windsward. Congratulations on your victory tonight in Windsward. The vault of the financial capital of the island is now yours. How do you feel about it?
It's what we expected. I honestly wanted to win quicker, but, we had to get some good practice in. Happy birthday to Kui. You can wish him a happy birthday, you know what I mean? I'd appreciate it.
Of course. Kui, happy birthday, Kui. I do want to ask, what are your intentions now that you have control of Windsward?
I'm not sure, probably do some invasions. I'm a big fan of invasions. Invasions are what, gets me out of bed in the morning. I just love invasions, so that's probably what I'll do. I've always wanted a territory so I can do invasions. So yeah, that's what we'll do.
Subscribers interested in seeing the live coverage of last night's Windsward break-in should check out last episode in this historical playlist. Despite last night's warnings, Cutlass Keys suffered setbacks caused by corrupted invasion forces assaulting simultaneously with the First Light victory. In addition, the hamlet of Brightwood suffered more severely from corrupted invasions, perhaps committed to the championship bout. Speaking of the champs, 4 straight Neverfalls moved them into a two-way tie for 5th on the all-time list. We asked them how it felt. Congratulations on your victory tonight. How do you think it went out there?
I think it went really awesome. I was really happy with that fight. Finally got a real war.
I get paid too.
Excellent. Come down to the wire. As I said, I was in the Windsward fight.
Oh yeah, it definitely came down to the wire for us. Bamjan called people out and people did show up.
Turning to the weather, and after all that change, it's nice to know you can count on the sun to fly shining across the sky all day long. But lest you fail to prepare as they did last night, look out for a 30% chance of invasion to occur later tonight. Another submission for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Tonight, the Covenant forces of Most Wanted assault the Syndicate forces of Dancing Phoenix for control of the northernmost region of Morningdale. Attacking from their staging grounds in Weaver's Fen, the great house of Most Wanted seek to expand their empire and secure a place close to the northern Death Wall. But the forces of Dancing Phoenix would rather maintain the forward observation post on the Death Wall, more concerned with early warnings for future megastorms. Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello Eternum and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news, and this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night as the forces of Dancing Phoenix hold off the assault from Most Wanted and retain control of Morningdale. KOTT News crews caught up with Dancing Phoenix leadership who had something to say. Congratulations on your victory out there. Was it ever in doubt for you?
Oh, it was a little close there. We we had a little problem with comms, communications. It was a little chaotic, but we got it together and we got organized and we were able to finally hold them off on the fort.
Excellent. Well, do you have anything going up and coming up here in the near future for Dancing Phoenix and that you might want to let Eternum know about?
Well, I think it's time we get our revenge against Most Wanted for pushing us, and I think we're gonna go take it right back to them in Weaver's.
Understood. You heard it here first, folks. They're going to be declaring on Weaver's Fen soon. Look out, Most Wanted. KOTT News crews will bring you more on that story as it develops. Turning to the weather, and once again, morning minstrels and daily runners delight as the sun keeps corruption at bay. But look out after sunset when northern cold fronts will cause a 30% chance of invasion to occur. Due to last night's technical downtime issues, no simulated fantasy combat resolution will take place tonight. But we'll have any late-breaking outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night as the great houses of the island celebrated peace as long as they could. KOTT News crews took advantage of the downtime to test out new set designs and lighting techniques. We'll bring you more on this story as it continues to develop. Turning to the weather, and once again the sun will make its trek across the Eternum sky, keeping corruption at bay. But look out after sundown, as magnetic confluences will give rise to a 20% chance of invasion at the poles. A new submission for simulated fantasy combat resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Tonight, the Marauders of CB4 assault the syndicate forces of Retirement Homies for control of the bamboo forest preserves and medicinal hot springs of Ebonscale. Gusto and the boys have been working to control the southern peninsula, and now they're seeking to expand the Marauder Empire into the island's premier resort destination. The Retirement Homies have been maintaining the upkeep of the hamlet and fighting off invasions. They're not doing all that work for someone else to bathe in the hot springs. We'll have the outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the forces of CB4 ransacked the resort destination town of Ebonscale. KOTT were on the scene as multiple members of CB4 began executing mission boards for repairs. Unable to secure an interview there, KOTT followed the line of mercenaries to the payout. And it was there, after all payouts were made, that KOTT was able to join CB4 leadership for a few questions while they celebrated.
Alright, should we offer this man some milk, or what do we do here, hippie? You got a drink for the man?
Yeah, dude, we're giving you a drink.
This one's on the house, just because, you know, we on the territory now, so... Yeah, next one, for sure, bring your wallet.
If there's anything you'd like to tell anybody on the island, I'd be happy to convey that.
Yeah, we kind of just wing it, night by night, but a big thing that we're into is role-playing, as you can see. If you're ever looking for guys to hang out, hit us up. We'll be here.
Drinking.
While in Ebonscale, KOTT News crews caught the local duet act of Great Cleave Age, who were performing their recent smash hit single. Turning to the weather, and once again the morning sunshine will persist throughout the day, keeping corruption at bay. But look out at dusk as a southern typhoon will break in on the island before turning outbound and dissipating to the northeast. 2 submissions for simulated fantasy combat resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. First up, the Marauders of Buck Wild attack the syndicate forces of Dancing Phoenix for control of the northernmost region of Morningdale. The newcomers of Buck Wild have declared right of first purchase by association, claiming a lineage to the throne of founding great house, Death's Wish. However, the syndicate forces of Dancing Phoenix have been maintaining and developing the town infrastructure and housing dutifully, and the citizens don't want to be plundered. Then, the Covenant forces of Most Wanted assault the Marauders of Ghosts of Tarshish for the crown and kingdom of Monarch's Bluff. The forces of Most Wanted have been recently attempting to expand their empire. Perhaps they're tired of living in the swamp. The ghosts of Tarshish must have felt completely content, ruling over the bluff uncontested. But has all this downtime made them soft? Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the forces of Buck Wild conquer the northernmost region of Morningdale, and the forces of Most Wanted expand their empire by seizing the crown and kingdom of Monarch's Bluff. KOTT news crews caught up with Most Wanted forces, straight up flexing on the steps of City Hall. Congratulations on your victory. How'd it go out there tonight?
It went really well. Everybody was very disciplined. Everybody listened to comms, and it went well.
It went very well.
What are your plans now that you control Monarch's Bluff?
We are just a group of Hmong people just here to fight together and have some fun.
Well, now you have 2 territories. Will you go for 3?
Yes, we will be looking for 3.
KOTT news crews were unable to secure an interview with Buck Wild leadership, but have submitted a request at City Hall. While in Morningdale, KOTT News made a shocking discovery about Barely Friends leadership. More on that story as it develops. Turning to the weather, and after all that excitement last night, the sun will act like it's just another day, traveling across the sky. But once again, as the sun begins to dip, northern cold fronts will draft down the mountains, giving rise to a 30% chance of invasion. Another submission for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it is cardboard. Tonight, the Syndicate forces of Bo's CB4 Hose assaults the Marauders of CB4 for control of the medicinal hot springs of the resort destination of Ebonscale. Bo's CB4 Hose attempting to mix things up for the Syndicate, who have seen their regional influence wane in the recent days. But can they conquer the crocodiles of the Keys? The forces of CB4 are pretty fresh after their win in Ebonscale 2 nights ago. The hot springs will have them well rested and recovered for tonight's fight at the Mosh Pit. We'll have the outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. No change in the dynamic of Eternum last night as the forces of CB4 managed to maintain the Mosh Pit and retain control of the Keys. KOTT news crews were unable to secure an interview immediately following the event, but have made arrangements with civic leaders through City Hall. KOTT would also like to inform its subscribers that the Summer Medley Fair event has been extended through the 6th of next month, so you still have time to practice for the big talent show. Looking at the weather, and after the sun does its thing throughout the day, be on the lookout for an early evening invasion in Monarch's Bluff. Then, be on the lookout for corruption forces advancing out of Eden Grove through Morningdale and south into Restless Shore. Yet another submission for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Tonight, the forces of Dancing Phoenix assail the Marauders of Dragoon Heathens for control of First Light and the flow of the Spice. The forces of Dancing Phoenix eschew their right to rematch for Morningdale and execute their right of factional compensation, attempting to secure the island's premier spice-laden region. As for the Dragoon Heathens, their first defense of the beach since acquiring it for themselves last week. Will the time off have them well rested or rusty? Be sure to tune in for complete coverage and reactions from the citizens at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News. Hello, Eternum, and welcome to KOTT News, Eternum's #1 source for news. And this is the War Report. Dynamic change in the history of Eternum last night as the Syndicate forces of Dancing Phoenix succeed in securing the spice-rich region of First Light. KOTT news crews were on the scene at City Hall where we spoke with company leadership. Congratulations on your victory out here in First Light. Now you have control of the spice. How did it feel out there?
You know, it felt good. Green put up a hell of a fight. They had a good team out here tonight, and we worked really hard on a new strategy and put it into practice. It worked real well.
And now that you have control of the hamlet, what are your intentions?
Well, first of all, we're going to start implementing an embargo on cinnamon. It needs to be tightly controlled from this territory only, and we're going to make sure nobody has access to it outside of this space. We want to make sure carrot cake is all funneled through us, and we get a slice of that action.
Last night's outcome created yet another unique presentation of the island's factional distribution, each of whom benefiting in their own way. Looking at the weather, and today the sun will make an unusual journey across the Eternum sky because it feels like mixing it up a little, but it still won't stay out all night. So look out for a 30% chance of corruption invasion to occur later throughout the night. Only one roster submission for Simulated Fantasy Combat Resolution tonight, brought to you by LARPco. Remember, if it isn't LARPco, it's cardboard. Tonight, the Covenant forces of Most Wanted challenge the Syndicate forces of the Censored for their heavyweight championship title and the right to rule over Everfall. Most Wanted forces are fresh off their victory in Monarch's Bluff earlier this week, where they vowed to extend their empire to a third territory by left-clicking your right-click. For the champs, a win tonight would move them into a tie for 4th place on the all-time Neverfall list with The Reckoning. At 5, they're sure to come out swinging from the opening bell. We'll have the outcomes and reactions from the citizens tonight at 11. Until then, this has been War Correspondent JChalant, KOTT News.